What up, ladies and gents? It's your boy Bioguy here, and welcome to another episode of Science with Bioguy. In this series, I basically try to highlight science news and topics in short videos that are in an understandable manner, regardless of what your educational background is. In today's episode, I'll be discussing some of the latest science news related to COVID-19. So this will be a little different from my last episode where I had only just covered just one topic. Before I get started, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. Help your boy get to that 100 subscriber mark. Without further ado, let's get into this. For our first news, the CDC now recommends everyone wearing cloth face coverings if you go out into public settings. And I know you might be thinking, didn't they just tell us not to wear masks? Why are they changing their minds now? Let me clarify that a little bit. So for those that watched my last Science with Bioguy video, do you remember I had said, or I was discussing that you can go up to 14 days without showing any symptoms after you contracted the virus? And again, during that time period, you can still be contagious. So theoretically, you can have people walking around the stores not knowing that they're infected at all. Well, that's what these cloth masks are supposed to help out with. It keeps you from spreading the virus if you don't know if you're infected. Now, these cloth masks will not, and I have to stress this, will not prevent you from catching COVID-19. I have to stress that. They're only supposed to help you from spreading the virus. So if you're infected and you don't know if you have it, that's what that cloth mask is supposed to do, is to prevent you from spreading it to others. So in other words, you still have to do your part to keep yourself clean. This is not just where you go out, you wear a mask, and you're good. You can do what you normally do. No, you still need to take steps to keep yourself clean and sterile. Now, granted, when you wear these masks, you have to wear them right or they're not going to work at all. I make store runs once, maybe if I need to, 2 times a week now. And so I just made one earlier today of recording this video. And I kid you not, I saw so many people wearing their masks improperly or using it improperly. I won't name the store or the company, but there was this employee that had walked in, had his mask on, properly so, it had his nostrils covered and everything, walked down, and as soon as he bumped into the employee, he had pulled his mask down like, hey, have you seen that new Tiger King episode of the night? And it's just like, as soon as you pull that mask down, it defeats the whole purpose. When you put that mask on, it's supposed to stay on until you're ready to take it off. And when you take it off, it's not supposed to go back on until you wash it or sanitize it. I've seen people wear the mask just hanging down on their neck. Again, it defeats the purpose. I saw a couple people where they had their mouth covers, but their nostrils were still exposed, which is really not doing any good because the droplets can be exposed or expelled through your nostrils. So if you don't have your nostrils covered, what's the point of you wearing the mask? Actually, even when I was pulling up to the parking lot, I glanced over a couple cars down, and there was like a surgical mask like hanging on the, the rearview mirror. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they're not putting that. It's not. These masks, you gotta treat them well and sanitize them and use them wisely, or else you guys are pretty much harming yourself more than ever. Anyway, the take-home message here is if you go out into public settings, if you can, wear a mask correctly and continue to practice social distancing and keeping yourself clean. Our next story involves the development of antibody testing for COVID-19. So for those that don't know, these proposed antibody tests are not the same as the diagnostic testing that's currently going around to determine whether or not you have COVID-19. Matter of fact, when they're doing these diagnostic testing, they're using a method called polymerase chain reaction, or PCR. And that's where they basically take a swab from your nasal or the back of your throat and check to see if the viral genetic material is present. So if you think back to your high school days where you took your health and biology courses, if you were paying attention at all, after you get affected by a bacteria or a virus, your immune system develops these antibodies for a certain period of time. So that way, for that period of time, you're immune to that pathogen and you wouldn't get sick by that microbe again. So what these antibody tests will actually do is determine whether you've already been exposed to COVID-19. And that will help a lot of individuals that have not experienced any symptoms, but they've already been exposed to the virus. Like, I mean, it's almost like a sigh of relief because they're like, oh, okay, well, cool. I don't gotta worry about getting sick anymore. It can also be a potential treatment plan for those that are ill with COVID-19. Because if you have somebody that's currently ill with COVID-19, you can basically just get plasma from somebody who has the antibodies for this virus and give it to that sick patient in order for them to recover quicker. And importantly, this should help return our economy and our society back to normal. Because if you already developed the antibodies for COVID-19 and you find out by taking this antibody test, then theoretically you should be immune to this disease and you can return to work and your normal activities and yada yada yada. So this has the potential to be really game changing, and I think a few of them are actually on the market right now. But there's a catch. And that catch is we don't really know how accurate these tests are yet. And that's the dangerous drawback of trying to rush through these solutions and develop these tools during this time. Because what you don't want happening is people getting false results while they're returning back to work and their normal activities, because that's just going to be catastrophic. Let's just leave it at that. So the FDA recently tightened up their regulations on these antibody tests. They're going to be closely monitoring and testing them to make sure that they work properly, which is good, but that means we might have to wait a little bit more time before we see them commonly on the market. But keep an eye on them, because I think this is what's going to help change the tide in this battle. For our last story, hydroxychloroquine, the miracle drug endorsed by President Trump, is getting backlash. So you may recall a few weeks ago, President Trump got on national television and endorsed a drug called hydroxychloroquine, calling it the game changer for combating COVID-19. Now, hydroxychloroquine, it was originally invented to combat malaria because this medication, it targets the parasite that causes malaria. And it's actually also used for medication for those that have lupus as well. Anyway, the president endorsement was based off a French study where they apparently concluded that this drug was effective in helping patients recover from COVID-19. However, this study hasn't been peer-reviewed yet. And what I mean by peer-reviewed, meaning other scientists have not looked at it or looked at the study and determined whether it's legit or has any flaws, or there needs to be additional experiments needs to be addressed. So it's like having 2-3 separate pairs of eyes to look at your study to see if your study is valid. So keep that in mind. The president of the United States is promoting this drug as the game changer when it comes from a non-peer-reviewed, non-validated study. All right, so remember that. Now, there are actually some alarming things in the studies that I won't get into much depth into now. Maybe I'll cover that in another video. There's strong reception to it. But one of the problems with the study is that they only used about 40 affected COVID-19 patients. So 20 of them were given this hydroxychloroquine drug as a treatment, and 20 of them weren't, and they just compared the results between them. Now, does this seem, smart to advocate this drug as a cure for this global pandemic based off a single study of only 40 people? And there are other alarming things with the study as well. So for example, half of their control patients, they didn't record any data on them. They just documented them as NA or not taken. And also for the fact that 6 of those patients from those studies, they dropped out of studies. Out of those 6, 3 of them ended up in an ICU, and 1 of them actually ended up dying. So that kind of showed that the drug really didn't work against this virus. But anyway, thankfully, there is some strong backlash against this drug that was endorsed by the president, especially after some additional published studies which have used 4 or 5 times more patients or participants than this French studies, and they're basically finding that this drug is not effective against this virus at all. On top of these additional studies that are showing that this drug doesn't appear to work, this medication is actually relatively easy to accidentally overdose on. And there's actually been some cases in the United States where people have died from overdosing on this drug because they thought, oh, if I take this, I'll be good with the virus. And they got it off counter and they accidentally overdosed from it. And they died because they couldn't recover from it. This drug also carries some serious side effects. And one of them is actually heart failure and cardiac arrest. And remember, who is the most susceptible to this virus right now? Yeah, the elderly. And their hearts are already fragile as it is. So they really don't need to be taking this drug. So to conclude on this, I would definitely not recommend or not trust this drug for COVID-19 right now. As of right now. Let the FDA conduct their clinical studies, let them test this drug, and figure out if this drug is actually worth putting on the market. Because what you don't want doing is people dying over a drug that is really doing nothing at the moment. So let's leave this drug stocked up for the people that have lupus and actually need this medication. That's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and don't forget to share this info to your family and friends so that way you can get this out to them. For those that are new to my channel, I do these science news reports like every week, or try to do them every week. And I also do gameplays where I play a wide variety of games. So check them out. I post a video like here, there, maybe there, wherever I feel like it. My desktop actually blue screened a few days ago and I've been unsuccessful at getting it fixed. So that's why I haven't uploaded in like a week and a half. But yeah, check them out. This is Bioguy signing off.